Welcome to Metallarium Pages. Jens, it's a great pleasure to talk with you about Nightingales, this new album Shadow Reaper, and more things related to the metal world in general. And we started by asking, how are you doing today? How in the last during the last year? Because your previous album, The Black Stream, was released last year, and now we have a new album.
Yes, that's right. First of all, hello to all the readers and listeners to Metallarium. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity of the interview. Um, it seems like we're putting out album after album each year, but as you know, there was the Corona years that given us some time to do some more songs, to do some more recording and songwriting. So the Black Stream came out initially 2 years later than initially planned. It was ready 2 years before, but then there was several problems to put out the vinyl on the same day as the CD, stuff like that. So it was rescheduled for many times, and then we had time to start Shadow Reaper in the background again. Um, so that was then the possibility to put it out so early after the release of the Black Stream.
Hmm. Okay. And one thing that obviously the next question will be a common one. Why do you decide to release two albums in a row? Because last year Blackstream, now Shadow Reaper. That's for a lot of people is very unusual. But when you have an album, you have an album and release it.
Yeah, and I liked it in the 70s very much as AC/DC and Thin Lizzy did that. They did even in 1 year 2 albums.
Mhm.
Um, some people or many people might know that, and I found that very impressive. And it was always a goal for us or for me. And now in our situation that we have with the new old lineup, we have our old singer Christian back, and we have a studio in my basement at my house. We can write very fast songs and new albums. So if we have that possibility now, why want to take that possibility? That's a question. We can do it, so don't waste time. We're getting older, and we have input. So we said let's do it, and we got a record label, Apostasy Records, that when we release an album, we just put it out. He always the next day he asks, "Did you start writing the new album?"
Mhm.
And I say, "Yes, I will
Mm.
start. Maybe next month, maybe in spring. Let's see."
Oh,
So he
okay.
likes the tempo as well. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So talking about now, when do you start write songs for this new album? And all the songs new, or do you rescue any composition that left out for the previous one? Because 1 year, some songs left for the previous one, and now that you rescue, for example.
No, this time not. I think I did it never. Maybe 25 years ago with the first 2 albums, but this time it was completely new process. And this time I started not at the guitar, I started with the drum set. I I start recording drums, had some guitars in mind. The idea was to get it in a different direction a little bit. Um, yeah, I think half of the album started with the drum recordings, demo drum recordings, of course, with the MIDI drum set, the E drum set, and then took the guitar and tried out some stuff, and yeah, then it came song by song. It's a really fast and natural process normally. There's not so much waste that we produce when we write songs. Nearly all the songs are good ones or very good or yeah, stuff like that. And when the lyrics then are ready, I try to fit the lyrics on the composition to make a proper song out of it. And maybe some of them don't fit to a lyric, and that's then the stuff that's going in the waste. Um, but I won't take it out again after that an album is released. It will stay in the waste.
Okay. So now you are talking about a little more about this album. One thing that captured my attention for this new one is the cover art for Paolo Girardi, a great cover art by the way. So in this situation, how do you try to relate the cover art, the style and the name of the album on this being? Because I try to figure out what it means, the cover art, so that I relate with a lot of things. So in this case, how do you relate the concept, the album, the lyrics, and obviously the music?
Mhm. This time we changed the cover artist, right? We didn't went to Costin Coriano again because we changed the cover artwork and um, and the guy who's mixing the album. We we thought it would be good to make some changes after 3 albums with the same guy for the artwork and the same guy for the mix. And Paolo Girardi, I followed since several years now and was getting more impressed by his work. So that was the name who was on the list on top. Before we knew what he should do for us, or what should be the motive or the title. The title, as you might know, is not a song title. It's just album title, and it came after I got the idea for the cover artwork. And the cover artwork idea resides of the previous album, The Black Stream. On the Black Stream cover, you have this big ball of flying souls,
Mhm.
no, lost souls. And my idea was, what is happening with them? Where do they go from here? And that was the point to take on here for the story for the next album. And then I had the wish to have a personalized thing again on the cover artwork, not a landscape anymore. Some traditional metal cover, with the evil guy in the center. And so I thought about it and the color scheme, and then it came to my mind suddenly, and I had this idea of this thing, this person, or this monster, Shadow Reaper, who appears to cut these souls apart out of this black stream, to give him the final cut. And yeah, so there's a connection between all the covers.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the color scheme was something that was clear. We needed some blue and cold, and not the brownish and red and yellow again. So that was, yeah, the idea was then complete to give it to Paolo Girardi. I do a little sketch of it in 5 minutes, and he transported it into the final version. And yeah, we really like it.
Okay, okay. And how do you feel the reception of the fans and the press has been so far for this new album? Do you guys you usually read reviews, like or criticism that get posted online, and how do you take these whole reviews?
Before releasing a new album or before we read the first review, it's always some curious thing. We don't know what there's to come and if people like it as the last album and so on. Um, Especially in this situation for Shadow Reaper, as we changed two major things. We changed the production. The mix is a little bit different. The songwriting is a little bit more, it's more rougher, and there are not so much lead guitars in the front. Um, it's not so the common Nightingale sound that we used to have for the last 10 years, maybe. And so the reviews were really fantastic. They are almost better than for the Blackstream or Dawnlight Garden. I think, they are almost 90 or 95% of the points that we could get, and some of them tell that we are we know something like one of the last true melodic death metal bands around still playing that style. So that's really good thing for us, I think. One goal that we reached over the
Hmm.
years. We're
Okay.
very happy with that.
Okay, nice, nice. And one thing about this is that you, as you mentioned it, you are one of the last ones that play this melodic metal and oh, as always, like since at the gates and more bands create this sound. So this topic, why do you decide since the beginning to lean down to melodic death metal? What brings you to this into this style since the beginning? That the perhaps the black or that common death metal or black metal doesn't have at that or didn't have at that moment
Mhm.
to reach your mind.
Mhm. Um, I started with the black metal, with the big death metal boom. I think in 99, 90, in the 90s, 89 to 90, and when all the Florida and Swedish death metal bands came out, and we started our own band at that time. That was more like a early Paradise Lost, My Dying Rites, or Melodic Doom Death, and we tried some gigs here and there with a different lineup. And and there was a point, I think 93 around that, when it was becoming a little bit boring to listen to that usual death metal because there was so many bands popping out. It was like a big wave of classic death metal, you know? And all the classics was there in 3 years around that. And then there came the melodic death metal wave from Sweden, especially from Gothenburg. Of course, in play at the Gates started a little bit earlier, and we followed that because we listened to all that peaceful compilation samplers, and they had a clip on MTV, heavy rotation, I think, on the metal channel, Headbangers Ball, and yeah, and that flashed us then. That was the way out of this classic death metal. And I think we understood how to do it, and we just started it. There was no thinking about it. There was no strategy. It was something like we had to do this, you know. And since then we've done it, but we made some more experimental stuff, as you might know, with albums 99 and 2001, named Nailwork and Necrodynamic. That was not true melodic death metal anymore. There was different influences in it.
Mhm. Okay. Other detail that I note into the career from Night Gales is that your lineup is a solid one. You just change a few times on for different members, and so for you, what is the best sort of? How do you maintain this solid lineup since the beginning to now? Because reading your biography, I saw that you just changed two times vocals and drums, then no more changes in the band. So, do you think that this is the way to maintain the original sound from Night in the Gale since the beginning to now?
I think that's not the main reason that we can continue with that original sound, but of course it makes things easier. But that's not the main thing. It's just that Christian had to move out of the band, the singer, the early singer from the demo and Razor EP, when we put the signing on the Nuclear Blast contract.
Mhm.
It was 96 to 97 around that because he wanted to study and to focus on other things, not on rock and roll, not to do European tours and stuff. And Björn came in, and then we did this Nuclear Blast albums, and then later on the comeback album for Lifehouse Records. And yeah, and Christian, the original drummer, he went out right after we lost the deal with Massacre Records, so we split with Massacre Records in 2002, I think, around that. And then we had to reorientate. We had some years where we was not so active. We did some promotion tapes, some promotion recordings. We started at zero again. And this was the reformation thing that was very good for us because we took our time to think about what are Nightingales really? What do we want? And what is the best thing that we can do? And then we tried this 5 years album, five scars album on Lifehouse Records, and that was still with Björn. And after that, Björn decided to leave the band and focus on another band and other activities. And then we had to find a new singer. And I think 2 or 3 years later, bassist Tobias met Christian, the original singer, on a gig, and he talked to him, and he showed interest to be a part of the band again. And that was then clear what's the way to sound like in the early days, because Christian was the perfect guy for it. He could still do that voice that he did on Sylph-like, and so we did a rehearsal, and I started songwriting, and then we got in contact with the label, and they liked that we wanna sound like in the early days. Yeah, and that was going very good, and then we got good reactions from all over the world and good reviews, so we continued with that.
Mhm.
That's the whole story. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Other detail that you mentioned is that you start your career with Nuclear Blast. Until network, you stay with them. So then you decide to change Massacre Records, Life for Records, and now you are with Apostasy Records. So how do you see this change of labels? Since a big because the bigger one it always the time it was Nuclear Blast. Now one of the biggest ones. Then you decide to change to medium labels like Massacre Records, Life Records, and now you are one small one like it's Apostasy Records, a different one. So how do you see all transitions in labels since the beginning to now?
25 years back, it was a totally different situation. No, Nuclear Blast was not that what it was in the last years. The biggest band I think in our time was Hammerfall with the debut album, then Dimmu Borgir with Enthroned Darkness, and then there was a management change, I guess, and there was a political direction change, which led to the dropping of many bands in 1 year. All the bands that didn't reach more than 10,000 copies or stuff like that from the last album. They signed bigger bands like Danzig and Manowar then. So it was a strategy decision to drop some bands. It was nothing personal or stuff like that. So we had to search for a new label. In the same moment, um, we lost a little bit our direction, and produced a strange follow-up to Nailwork, which was strange already style-wise. So it was no wonder that it wasn't going good on Massacre Records with Necrodynamic. It wasn't melodic death metal anymore. We lost our fan base, disappointed our fan base that we built up with two good records, I think, on Nuclear Blast before. And so that was just our fault. So no, the labels cannot do anything for that it wasn't going good so anymore at that point. And then we had to search for a new label, and was in the end Lifehouse Records, hardcore based or metalcore based record label. I knew from the time with Dead Soul very well. I played in a metalcore band 2005 to 2008. Put out some records, and we was on Lifehouse Records as well. So I got a good contact. That was maybe the reason we was going there. It's always the choice of the label. It's always a choice of possibilities. And after the time, then we got in contact with Apostasy Records. It was a different situation as well. It seems like a small label, but it isn't, because it's powerful. You see what they can do and what they put out. They can put out every year several records, very good records, and they do very good promotion for us, and they believe in us and believe in music, and that's totally different aspects, as you compare to bigger labels who just interested in the money that it's bringing, and the business side. So the
All
best
right.
decision for us, actually.
Oh, okay, nice, interesting point to know. So now talking about the promotion of this new album, what kind of plans do you have for this new one? You will embark tours, gigs, release more videos, or what kind of plans? Or perhaps you are already working on a new album, who knows? And a theory in a row, who knows?
The real promotion is over now, so maybe there will be some social media stuff and some new merch that we will produce and promote, and they will follow, of course, some shows. We will play some shows in Germany as usual, and there will be some shows in Greece that are just the contracts are just signed, but it's not it's not official so far. And maybe some international shows. Let's see. There are some requests now with Shadow Reaper. There are coming more show requests than ever. We recognize that, and yeah, maybe some big festivals in summer. There's nothing official so far, but there will be one, of course, one or two. And yeah, then we will start writing the next record.
Mhm.
And we got 30 years of our debut mini CD Sylph-like next year. So I can say there will be some special thing for that one. And yeah, but we will then concentrate on the new album.
Mm. Okay, think one thing that you mentioned many times is about the change of the vocalist because since 1996 to 2012, Bjorn was as your frontman at that moment. Now
Mm.
Christian returned, but Christian never sing in an album in the beginning, just the demo and the EP as you mentioned. So the band has had the change of vocalist, and that always It's a difficult thing. So how have you feel reaction of the fans and the press to Christian return? Oh, the contribution, the vocals, and what he bring to the new album or to this new album? Because it's a different way to sing in demos or EPs than an album. It's completely different.
That's right. I think the change of a singer is, of course, more a problem in the real heavy metal or in the clean singing um, area than in the death metal area. But except for Cannibal Corpse, there was a big discussion, of course, and I like the Chris Barnes era more. But in our case, it was like that. There was many followers for Christian since the start. Even it was only 2 years. Silverlake had a massive impact because we produced and sold, traded 7,000 copies of it. It reached, I think, all quarters of the world and yeah, all little parts of the underground. And it's a very well-known piece of music. And there was many good reactions, especially on Christian's voice. So and and many of these people that liked this record, they stayed over the years. They stayed with us. So it wasn't new to them that Christian's coming back, or it was no problem with it. It was a good thing for them, you know. It was really a good thing to know that he's back. And all the ones who loved Björn's style, Björn's lyrics, Björn's appearance, everything that Björn brought to the band. Of course, there was here and there a problem for them that he was not anymore in the band, but they had on one side they had the variant, his new band, where he is doing a little more neo thrash and mixed with melodic death and some clean vocals here and there. So he wasn't lost. He was just not anymore at Nightingales. And but the reviews and the reactions from the fans all over the world was very good as Christian returned. So it wasn't a problem for the band.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And well, now talking about other kind of topics, yeah, we spoke about the band, the album, a little history of the labels, in more things about this new, about the old Nightingales. How now, yeah, as you can see nowadays, there is a lot of releases per weekend. That is impossible to follow just one or
Hmm.
two albums. Even we are working as a media, but for us, it's very impossible to follow 50 or 40 releases per week. It's impossible for us. They're really, really impossible. But now, as you can see now, so when I spoke with old musicians, they told me that it's bad for the scene to have a lot of releases per weekend because you never get attention for all this one. And for all people, for other people, say that is a lot of releases is good for the scene because you can see more releases, you can see more bands, more musicians, and more things. So what is your point of view about now this a lot of this overwhelming, I don't know, how overwhelming releases per weekend, because there is impossible now to follow more than 50, 60 releases per weekend.
My opinion on that is I don't like it, but it's like that, you know. So why worry about it? There are many things that you cannot change. It's like that, you know. It's to produce music is a lot cheaper than 20 years ago, and it's getting more cheap, and there's coming AI on to produce music as well. And things will getting worse with that as well. There will more and more and more music. Um, yeah, that's it. Uh, it's hard to find the good ones between the mass of releases. It's like that. It's for me the same. If I'm fishing for good new melodic death metal albums or death metal albums, I have to listen to them because reviews are almost superior and good ones, and you have to listen to all that stuff. But you don't have time. You have 1 minute for each release. So
Mm.
you have to write reviews. You have to listen it several times.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
a different situation, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult. Yeah, yeah, it's a difficult.
But don't worry about it. It's like that. It's
Mm.
never change it.
Yeah, yeah, that is correct. We are close to in this interview, gents. And for this topic, as you can see now, there is like Well, always for me, it was a curious thing to speak about Germany and related the scene with death metal because Germany never brought to us a huge death metal one, like the Finnish scene, like the Swedish scene, like the Brazilian, or the even for the British or US scene. Even in, but that's a curious thing because Germany always has great bands since the beginning. We are talking about thrash metal, power metal, and heavy metal. You have a strong scene. Even you have one of the biggest festivals there, like is Bakken. So that's one thing.
Yeah,
But a curious thing since the beginning to now that the Germany don't Germany didn't provide to us a huge stone into the death metal. Not black metal, not death metal, not melodic metal. I know your bands are all one. I know Morgoth, I know Atrocity, and the list is still going on. So, but there is no huge band like you say, hey, this band is like the same like Death, like Morbid Angel, or like Demi Leech, or like Entomb. There's no one like that in Germany. So for this, you are in the middle, or you create or you grow in the when the death metal has a boom in the 80s or the finished 80s or the beginnings of 90s. So for you, what's going on with this topic that Germany never brought out us a huge death metal band or a band to take influence for others?
that's a really good question. You're right. We got a very big, important thrash metal scene. We had an impact on the thrash metal worldwide, I think, with Creator, Destruction, Sodom,
Mhm,
Tankard.
mhm,
Um, yeah, the heavy metal, Halloween, for example, Running Wild was important. That's right. And for the death metal, the biggest one, Morgoth, I would say.
mhm,
Atrocity, the old work. Dark Millennium, and then yeah, nothing really big. You're right. But the reason for that, hard to say. It's hard to say. What makes you a successful death metal artist or
mhm,
death metal musician? That's the question.
mhm,
Um, but if you raise that question, you have to look at every country that has some important impact on heavy metal genre, you know, and then look what's not going on there in other genres. So you have to do that with every country. Then I think I cannot answer that for Germany. Maybe what's your opinion?
mhm.
Well,
Okay, yeah,
don't know.
I understand. I understand. Don't worry. I
Yeah.
understand completely about this. Because for me, just I just try to find always when I because I'm from the 80s, I'm trying to relate sounds. You know very well the sound from Finnish. For Finland, you from Finland you have a
Oh,
sound
okay.
from Finland, a Swedish from
Oh,
Finland.
okay.
But from
Yeah, then
Germany,
maybe you got it. Maybe that's the reason. We never created an own specific death metal sound, you know? Like one studio that delivers that German death metal sound. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You cannot promote it then. It's so good. It's like always like they sound like a Swedish band, they sound like an American band. They try this and that, but they're not yeah, the shit itself, you know?
okay,
Yeah,
okay, and
yeah, maybe.
other, just proceed.
But it's this kind of thing starts mostly with a one very successful album. And if that one is missing,
Hmm.
no one will follow. Let's say maybe if Morgoth had become bigger
Hmm.
and there was 20 bands who wanted to sound like them on the Cursed album, that would have been there, you know? Because this Cursed album sounds not exactly like a Death album or like a Swedish album. It is maybe the German death metal, you know? Of course, it's influenced by Death, I would say.
Hmm.
Obituary, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And during the last 10, let's put during the last, well, since necrophages appears in the world, because necrophages it is one of like the band start this technical movement in the world
Mhm.
with a lot of technical stuff. Since there with obviously with spawn possession from Swedish. So I saw that usually Germany has a little approach where a little delight with the technical stuff. Since Atrocity, Power, Dark Millennium, you mentioned that there's bands like technical progressive band that bands in the beginnings of the 90s. Then since 2000, Necrophages, Obscura, and more bands related with the technical stuff. technical stuff. So what do you think about now the scenes of Germany has this is a pretty inclination to the technical stuff with a lot of bands, will releases, obscura, necrophages, and more and more.
Oh, hard question again. Maybe it's coming through that whole YouTube exercise thing. You know what I mean? The last 20 years, and with some tools that are available for everyone, like Guitar Pro, it's a different thing to exercise on your instrument nowadays. There are many very fast playing young people now that can write, of course, technical music. Um, in my opinion, it's easier to do a technical death metal song than a good death metal song because you just have to play technical and fast stuff like that and complex structures. Um, I think it's more more hard to write a simple song with simple riffs, you know, like a good 6 Feet Under album. I think that's more difficult, like a tech death album to write, not to play, but to write.
Hmm.
Maybe that's the reason. It will provoke maybe some of the technical guys now, but that's maybe one answer. And second thing, it's becoming a huge thing. You know, the technical scene, it's a huge thing worldwide and bigger than 20 years ago. And everything that's becoming big is, of course, done by many bands. They try to
Okay.
have success with it. There's a big scene now, and it's growing with stuff like Arcspire. It's getting faster and faster. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but
Hmm.
they're a lot into it, I think.
Okay, okay. Well, gents, we arrived to the side moment or to this. We arrived to the summit of this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one, like me. I know a lot of for the history of Nightingales, as you mentioned. You are one of the last latest one that you are playing, still playing the melody as the always. So congratulations of this new record. It's a great one. So in this case, do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallerium followers?
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following us over the years. Check out our new album, Shadow Reaper, as well as the others before. Go on our Bandcamp. We got special merch. We got old and new stuff, new patches next week, back patches and stuff. And yeah, hopefully we'll see one day in South America on a tour. Maybe not Peru, but maybe somewhere else. There are possibilities, there are requests. Never say never.